I hated my wife for always working late. Then I realized the truth. Hi everyone, welcome back to another Reddit cheating story. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you won't miss another cheating story goes live. It's been 35 years and I still regret leaving. I don't know why I'm posting this, but I have to get this off my chest. I, 60 meters, got married young at 18. I married my high school sweetheart. She was smart, funny, kind, and the kind of person who could capture a room, very extroverted. I'm incredibly introverted, but we were a good match. By the time we were 25, we had 2 small children, and I was happy with how my life was. Then my wife got a new job and she was excelling, getting promotions, working later. I think you see where this is going. You are wrong, by the way. I cheated on her. Whilst she was out working late to make money to support our children, I was building up a resentment towards her. She wasn't home to make dinner and I never bothered to learn to cook. Washing would pile up for a few days because I didn't do it, and I was doing the school run because she was at work. But I never voiced how I felt, and every day my beautiful wife would come home I would put a front on and pretend everything was fine when it wasn't. I know if I had told her how I felt she would have listened, but I didn't. I met a woman at a work thing and spoke over the phone constantly for a few weeks. Things turned inappropriate quickly and I didn't stop it. I wrote my wife a birthday card telling her how much I loved her and she was an amazing person, then 2 weeks later walked out on her. And the worst part was she never screamed at me or yelled. She just stood there and watched me take my things whilst my children were in the other room completely oblivious to what was going on. She just stood there silently crying. I broke the best person in my life. She ended up losing her job because she couldn't manage the school run or extra child arrangements. So my alimony payments had to go up and I resented her for that. Looking back on it now, how selfish could I be? The women who I betrayed and were now single-handedly raising my children needed more money to care for them. I saw them every other Saturday, but that was it. My AP and I fizzled almost immediately. She didn't want something with me and she really didn't want something with me when I was almost broke from paying alimony. My wife was and still is the strongest person I know. She never let me know how much I hurt her, but I heard her crying herself to sleep every night I had to stay over for something with the kids. I spent years resenting my wife for stealing my money when in reality I knew it was my fault and I still loved her but was too proud to say, and even though I left, it was her who eventually filed for divorce because every time she asked me if I had gotten a lawyer I would say I'm not ready. Eventually she filed because she said it was too painful. I said some really awful things to her when I was angry, like I didn't love you for a long time, I stayed for the children, and every time she just said nothing back. I'll never forgive myself for that. She wanted to try to make it work. She fought for me every day for months and I wasn't interested. She loved me even when I hated her. Then she met Mark. He was older, wiser, and he loved her the way I should have loved her. He was, and is, a good man to her and my children. Watching someone else love the person you were supposed to love forever is quite possibly the worst thing I've ever had to do. I blurted out I love you to her 2 weeks before her wedding and she looked at me and said, then you should have fought for me, because I would have loved you forever if you'd let me. On the day of her wedding I sat outside the church in my car, telling myself I would object the wedding, but I didn't. That was 30 years ago, and seeing that written in front of me now is just as painful as hearing it all those years ago. Having to watch her with him all these years has been my punishment, and I've had the odd relationship but nothing serious. I will never forgive myself for what I did. It should have been our 42nd wedding anniversary today. I don't think anyone survived infidelity entirely. I think you learn to live with it. Here are some of the best comments from our community. Bro, that had to be hard to write out. But by God it was powerful to read. And hindsight is always 20/20. But sharing this could very well knock some sense into the people who read it. I can kind of identify with you and your ex in the situation. It is a female canine when one partner is sacrificing and striving to make the future bright for you both and the kids. And it is hard on the person that is holding down the fort. Both lose out on getting quality time together, and it hurts. You just wish people would use loyalty and patience in those situations. But so often something or someone gets in the way. Major props again for writing and sharing. It takes a man to admit his faults and mistakes. Your honesty with yourself and us is appreciated. I wanted to say that maybe you should tell her these things, but don't. She has moved on and found love. Don't disturb her happiness. I'm sure it took her a long time to get there. I was the wife of 23 years, 1 kid after 19 years together. We had a good marriage/life. We're good to each other. It was a good marriage. He left me at 41W/4 yo child. I wonder every day what I did to deserve him sleeping with his coworker and leaving us for her. The woman he showed true love/affection to. The woman that gave up her career to stay home with a child. Now, I am a 45-year single mom with an 8-year child. With an ex-husband that hates me. He was my best friend, because of the decisions he made. He gave me our home and I get alimony every month. He can't stand me because of the money he lost. I don't think he realizes what he really lost. I can't stand him because I was never given a chance to fight for my 23-year relationship. I am hopeful for love, but I only get every other weekend to date. Most people don't like that. Only one person has met my child in 4 years. My ex had a new instant family and has spent every night with his girlfriend. I'm alone and probably will be for the rest of my life because of the boundaries I set in my dating life. I protect my and my child's life for a reason. Most men don't have the patience to see where we are in 3 months with every other weekend. I sacrifice my personal life a lot, but I know it's worth it. I'm sure your ex-wife suffered and sacrificed so much. I hope that she found true happiness. To me, you sound like an exceptional and especially lovable woman. Literally millions of kids wish they had a mom like you. I'm one of them even as an adult. My dad died and my mom, starting seeing someone within 3 months, told me she stayed with him because it made you upset and she felt like she had too. WTF that means either, and then procured another boyfriend before breaking things off with the first, and married him, didn't bother telling me, and moved him into my dad's house, and lets him smoke in it, despite her once telling me I let my dad die in vain because she smelled cigarette smoke on me. My dear beautiful internet stranger, you got handed a real shit sandwich through no fault of your own. You're the best kind of person. Your story doesn't end with your worthless piece of shit ex. You were deceived. That isn't your fault. Your ex, as much as he doesn't give a fuck, isn't going to like it when he sees your child holding another man's hand across the street. Expect him to come banging on your door when the happiness coming your way is here. You are a warrior and a queen. Remind me when you're a cougar and married to an Ashton Kutcher look-alike who is kind, loyal and loves you like you deserve to be loved, and then some. I burst into tears when I read. Then he writes, watching someone else love the person that I was supposed to love forever is quite possibly the worst thing I've ever had to do. My ex is dating my coworker. It's a new job for me and apparently coincidental that we work together sporadically. I don't feel ready to handle it because I feel raw and emotional, how it would feel to sit in front of the woman receiving the love that I was supposed to receive. And having to share my child with her. Frown. Do you really regret losing her, or is it just that you're alone now? It's funny, but you didn't have any of these feelings of regret for years and years after you left. This seems to be more about the fact that things didn't turn out the way you expected. If you had found another woman to love, I doubt you would have these regrets. You come across as the typical aging narcissist who can no longer use looks and youth to attract new supply. I hope at a minimum you have a good relationship with your children and grandchildren, if you have any. I noticed that you failed to mention how they did in life after you abandoned and then resented them for needing financial support. How are they doing these days? We can interpret it as we desire. However, I don't think I could regret any action I take that was immoral or just plain stupid. If we do not suffer from our bad actions, then what deterrent do we have from doing it again? How can we feel shame without consequence? How can regret come with a negative blow? If we feel nothing from our actions, then we cannot reflect nor can we change. Change happens to us regardless if it is negative or positive. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for any future cheating stories.